Hello, welcome to the third lesson for making your Hedgehog Conservation Game. You've done really well to get this far. We're halfway to making the basic game already, so you're doing great. Today we're going to move on to some more fun stuff. We're going to add some food for the hedgehog and also a hazard for the hedgehog as well, to make the game a bit more challenging for the player. Can you remember what was in the original game? You've played that, I think, or in the ecology lesson? Perhaps you can remember what food there was. So if you're stuck at all, then remember you can ask questions at the live lesson afterwards. Also, you can go to the website earthgames.uk and look at the online resources there, and there's lessons and videos for you to follow for every step. Now let's have a look at our game and see what we're going to add. So we need to go to scratch.mit.edu. You probably know that really well by now, and find your stuff. So your stuff's in this folder here called My Stuff. Here's my game called Hedgehog Fun. Click See Inside. Today we're going to move on to adding some more sprites, and sprites are the characters in Scratch. At the moment we've just got two sprites. We've got the hedgehog and the shallow pond. So we're going to add some more to our game to make it more fun for the player. First, we need to get them though. We're going to add some food. Can you remember what hedgehogs like eating? If you said worms, then you're quite right. We're going to add some worms. In another tab or window, go to Scratch again, so scratch.mit.edu. We've made some worms already to make it a bit easier for you because it's a bit fiddly to draw lots of worms. What you need to do is click on the search field and write Hedgehog Republic and press enter. So this is a project that someone else has made, which looks really cool, but it's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a studio. So click on Studios, and here's the Hedgehog Republic one. In here, we want one called Sprites. Here we go. So click on that one. And click See Inside. Now this game is just an empty game really. It gives us some template gardens to use and also a couple of sprites. And here's the worm that we want. To get that into our game, we're going to export it, which means copy it onto our computer. We're going to right click on the worm and click Export. Press OK and it will save it to your computer. There we go, you can see that's done. Now leave this tab open for later and go back to your game in Scratch. Here's my one. We're going to add the sprite now, so I'll just zoom in so you can see that. Down here at the bottom left there's this. We want to hover over this, so not click on it, and go up to the top option, Upload Sprite. And then we need to find the worm. Luckily it's called worm. There we go, worm.sprite3. I know there's no picture of a worm, but don't panic, that's the one. If you can't find it, use the search field and type worm, because I doubt you've got many files called worm on your computer. There we go, there's our worm, perfect. Now we need to make the worm wiggle. So if you look at the costumes here, the worm's got 3 different costumes, and if we keep changing the costumes, it'll look like the worm's wiggling. Let's go back to the code. It's the same as we did for the hedgehog, so we need to get from the events category a when flag clicked block, and from the control category, you probably guessed it, a forever loop. There we go. We want the worm to forever change to the next costume, so it looks like it's wiggling. We go to the looks category, scroll down on my screen. There we go. We've got, oh, I must have missed it. Next costume, there we go. So just switch to the next costume, whatever that one is. Let's try that out. I don't know if you can see that very well, but the hedgehog is wiggling like mad. Remember what we did last time? We added a wait block, didn't we? So if we go to the control category, get a wait 1 second and put it in after the next costume. Let's try that. I think that looks alright. If you want, you can change this value to a lower or higher value to make it look good for you, really. I think that looks fine for me. Perfect. Now we want the hedgehog to be able to eat the worm. And in Scratch, that's going to mean if the hedgehog touches the worm sprite is going to disappear. It's going to hide. To make that code, go to Events and get a when flag clicked block. And from Control category, you probably guessed it already, forever loop. There we go. So we want it forever to be able to eat the worm. And an if loop, and put the if loop inside the forever loop. The first thing we want to do is check if the hedgehog is touching the worm. We need to click on the sensing category and get this block. Let me zoom in so you can see it's touching mouse pointer. I know it says that, but really there's a lot of selections in there. Click and drag this into your if loop. Click the drop down. There we go. We've got hedgehog. So if the worm is touching the hedgehog, then we want the worm to disappear. We want it to hide. If we go to the looks category, there we go. We've got this hide block here. Put it inside the if loop. Let's try that out. So if we click the green flag, if I drive my hedgehog up to the worm, yay, the worm has disappeared. But there's a problem. So if I stop playing the game and click the green flag again, the worm doesn't come back. We need to add a show block. That's also in the looks category over here. We want to add it right after the when flag clicked. So when the flag is clicked, the worm will show again until it's eaten, basically. Let's try that. Yeah, there's my worm and it gets eaten. If I stop and restart the game, the worm comes back. Perfect. What we want to do is also use those variables we made last week. We're going to use the hog health one right now. So it's 100, and when we eat the worm, we want it to increase. Let's go to the variables category. Here we've got the change hog health block. So grab that and put it inside the if loop there. So we want the hog health to increase by 10. So we're saying when the hedgehog eats the worm, its hog health will go up by 10. Let's try that out. Is that going to work? So keep an eye on the hog health here. It's 100 at the moment. There we go. It's gone up to 110. That's perfect. Now, all we need to do is just make some more worms, which is much easier than you think. The easiest way to do this, if I can zoom in, because you might not be able to see because of my head in the way. If we right click on the worm, we can duplicate. There we get another worm. Right click on the worm again, duplicate. So I've gone for 3 worms. You can add as many as you like. I wouldn't go crazy, but you can add as many as you want. Let me start again and move the hedgehog out of the way a bit. There we go. You can see the 3 worms. They appear randomly. So if you want them in different places, like I don't think they really be on the path, you can click and drag them and put them somewhere else. I'm going to put one over here. I might put one down here and one there. Oh, sometimes they're hard to grab hold of. Keep trying, you'll get there. There we go. All my 3 worms sorted. Now we're going to add a hazard for the hedgehog. So what things might cause a problem to the hedgehog? You might have guessed it because you might have seen it in our other programs. So let's go back to the other tab where we had sprites open. Here it is, the netting. That's what we're going to add because netting can cause big problems for hedgehog. They get stuck in it. If you right click on the sprite, you can export it again and press OK. There we go. Go back to your game. And again, what we need to do is import it. So if you hover over the choose a sprite thing at the bottom, go right up to the top and choose upload sprite. And we need to find the netting. There it is. If you can't find it, remember you can search for it. There won't be many things called netting either. Click on open. And there's your netting. If you don't like where it is, then move it somewhere else. Ooh. Trying to move it. There we go. So I'm going to put my netting there. Perfect. Now we need to add some code because we want the netting to change things for the hedgehogs. We want the netting to change their health, and we're also going to make it change the speed. So we're going to use 2 of those variables we made last week. From the events category, you need to get a when flag clicked block. And you guessed it, from control category, we need a forever loop. And also we need an if loop, because we want to check if the hedgehog is touching the netting. Lastly, we need the sensing one. Here we go, touching mouse pointer. Again, there's lots of different options there. They'll get even more as you add more sprites. So click the drop down there. We want touching hedgehog, because we're in the netting one and we want to know whether the netting is touching the hedgehog. So if it's touching the hedgehog, then we want to change the hog health. If you go to the variables category, we've got change hog health by 1. So let's grab that one and put it inside. So it defaults to 1, but actually we're going to do -2. So we're going to take away 2 health points every time the hedgehog touches the netting. We're also going to change the speed as well. It's 2, so we don't want to change it by too much. From the variables category, we need change hog health by 1 again, and then click the drop down here and change it to speed. So now we're changing speed. We're just going to choose a really small number. So we want to do minus because we're taking away the number. We're going to do 0.25. So a very small number because the speed is only 2. Click the green flag and let's try that out. So if my hedgehog goes up to the netting, whoa, did you see what's happened there? The numbers have gone really low in the minus numbers. Do you remember what we had to do before? You might have done. From the control category, we need the wait block. So if we have a wait 1 second, let's try that and see if it makes it more reasonable. Yeah, that's better, isn't it? So if I stay in there a long time, it goes down quite a bit. And can you see the difference now? How slow my hedgehog is moving. It's going to take ages to get to that worm. So it's really affecting the speed as well, which will make the game harder to play if the hedgehog gets stuck in there. But that's what we want, is we want people to understand what hazards are for hedgehogs. Now we're going to add some more food for the hedgehog. We've got some worms, but we want something moving around. Can you think what we might add? We're going to add a beetle. Hedgehogs quite like eating beetles, I understand. If you go down to the bottom right-hand corner and click on this one, we're going to choose one from the sprite library. So this is the sprite library in Scratch. There are tons of sprites in here. You can try them out on another program. If you hover over them, you can see all the different costumes that they have, so you can make it look like the ballerinas dancing, for example. We want to find a beetle. Up here you can search, so you can type beetle, or here you can click animals, and then you can see the beetle. And then click on the one you want. There's our beetle. Right, it's rather enormous, isn't it? Let's sort that out. So if we go down here to the size block, we're going to change the size. So I'm going to try 15 and then see what that looks like. I think that's a bit small, isn't it? I'm going to try 30. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. I'll keep it at 30. So the beetle is going to get eaten by the hedgehog in the same way as the worm did. What we're going to do is use the code from a worm. So click on any of the worm sprites. Here's the worms. And it's this bit of code that we want. So when it's touching the hedgehog, hide the sprite and change the health by 10. This thing at the bottom is called the backpack. Click on here. This is a place that we can put code in that we want to copy. It copies it from this sprite and we can put it in another sprite, so it's really helpful. What you need to do is click and drag your code that you want into the backpack. There we go. And then go to the sprite you want to put it in. So go to your beetle and click and drag it out again. There we go. So the code is still in the worm and it's also in the beetle. To close the backpack, just click on it again. There we go. So it should work. Let's try. Oh, it landed on the beetle. There we go. There's our beetle. Let me try it out then and see if it works. Yeah, it definitely works. And if I click the green flag again, the beetle comes back. That's perfect. Now, we want the beetle to also move around. It will make it more fun, won't it, if the hedgehog has to catch a moving target. From the events category, we need a when flag clicked block. And also, you guessed it, a forever loop. There we are. We want the beetle to move around forever. And the easiest way to get it to move around is go to motion and use this one, move 10 steps. So you want the beetle to forever move 10 steps. Thing is, if we push that, the beetle will just disappear over off the screen like that. It's going a bit fast, isn't it? From the control category, we can add a wait block. Let's drag the beetle back again and try that. What do you think? I think that might be a bit slow. I'm going to change it to wait 0.5 seconds. Yeah, you can see the beetle's moving a little faster now. Perfect. I like that. But the thing is, when it gets to the edge, it just gets stuck, doesn't it? The beetle just gets stuck over here like that. As you can see, it's disappeared off the edge there and doesn't do anything else, so that's no good. What we want to do is make the beetle bounce off the edge. If we go to the motion category, it's got this excellent block called if on edge bounce. So if I bring my beetle back again and let it go now, let's see. There we go, he bounced off the edge and turned round. But the thing is, as you can see, the beetle's just going to go back and forth here, which will be pretty easy for the hedgehog to catch. Let's make it a bit more tricky, because also that makes it a more fun game to play, doesn't it? We want to, from the motion category at the top here, we've got these turn blocks. I'm going to get this one, turn clockwise 15 degrees, and add it at the end here. Let me move that code up a bit. There we go. So we want it to turn 15 degrees, but actually what I want it to do is turn a random number of degrees. If you go to operators, I think we've used this before, this pick random block. We've used it for random positioning, haven't we? We're going to use it to pick a random number in here. So turn, pick random, so I'm going to go 0 to 10 degrees and try that out. Oh, the beetle just got eaten. There we go, there's my beetle back again. So it's bouncing off the edge, but also turning a little bit each time. Just makes it a bit more tricky, doesn't it? That looks good. Right, I think that's all the code we needed to add to the beetle. If you want, you can add some more beetles. So I've only got one, but if you right click and go duplicate, and right click and go duplicate, oh no, not export. I did click duplicate, that's all right then. See, I've got 3 beetles now. They should all be pootling around. Let's click the green flag. Off they go. So now my hedgehog can pootle around and eat all these things. And can you see the health going up each time? That looks really good. Perfect. And if I have a drink, the health goes up as well. Lovely. And if I touch the netting, the health and the speed go down. So it all works really well. So let me tell you about what we're going to do next week. So next week we'll be moving on to finishing off a basic game. We've done tons already. It's nearly finished. Next week we'll add in a way to win or lose the game, and we'll also add a hog house as well, somewhere for the hog to shelter in the winter. What you need to do is, if you've got any questions, is find the live lesson, which starts at 10:30. So it can be anything related to the lessons that we've covered. It doesn't have to be for this week. Ask your questions in the chat field on the side of the live lesson. If you haven't got time for that, then do send any questions in through the website. You can click on the Ask an Expert link on the website and we'll answer them as best we can. I hope that's been really enjoyable and look forward to seeing you next week at 10 o'clock. Bye!